Sierra Oscar Foxtrot, this is 614. Status check on podcast. I'll copy over.
614, this is Sierra Oscar Foxtrot. Roger, copy all. Podcast going live. Time now.
Hello and welcome to another exciting and awesome, amazingly awesome episode of the Sierra Oscar Foxtrot podcast. I am your host, Brian Stanfill, and with me today, this morning, is the man, the myth, the legend, General retired Don Bolduc. How you doing, sir?
I'm well, Brian. How are you?
Doing great. I woke up, it's a Monday, and you can plan all the way up to the nth hour Sunday night. You wake up on Monday, and it's like a whole new day, and you have no idea what's going on.
I agree. I experienced the same thing. So I guess we're not in the same place, but we're having the same experiences. So Monday is Monday.
Yes, and not to add insult to injury in the Army-Navy game, we're like in the same boat in some sense.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, that was a heart. So this here is not only a first for us doing the first live stream thing, and technically kind of live stream, but also this is the first of the 2022. January 1st. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everybody, yes.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, for those that don't know, my name's Don Bolduc. I was born and raised in Laconia, New Hampshire. I've been a resident in this state my entire life. Spent 33 and a half years serving our country. I started out as an enlisted guy, private sergeant, lieutenant, and worked my way up the ranks to serve in the general officer ranks. It was quite an honor. Retired in 2017, October of 2017. Came back to the state that I was born in, raised in, and that I love, where my family's at, and started helping veterans and their families. My wife and I, we volunteer to sit on a number of boards across the country. We travel, we talk about post-traumatic stress, TBI, and about the stigma, and encouraging veterans and their family members to get the treatment that they need in order to buy down the very high suicide rate, and the self-medication, the drug and alcohol abuse, homelessness, and unemployment, and try to bring a better understanding about mental injury and what that is, and how that happens to our men and women we send off to combat, and the responsibilities we have to them when they come home, both while they're serving and then after they're serving, which I believe is a significant shortfall. I've seen it. We have proof of it. So we continue to hammer at that and work that. And I taught as an associate professor at New England College for 2 years. And I just recently graduated from the New Hampshire Police Academy. And I work as a police officer in Hampton Police Department, just down the road from where I live now, and also running for the United States Senate, as I think we'll get into later. That's me in a nutshell. I'm married 33 and a half years, or almost 33 years. We have 3 boys, all grown. Youngest one is getting ready to graduate from Purdue, and just got himself a very good job in Houston, Texas. So he'll be leaving Purdue, going to Houston, Texas, working in the business marketing side of things there. 3 grandchildren, 8, 7, and 3. Love being a grandfather. It's God's way of giving you a second chance. It's very difficult to get it wrong as a grandfather, as far as I'm concerned, because I let them do just about anything as long as it's not unsafe. And so I have a good time. And then I pass them off to their parents,
There you
it's
go.
a great thing.
So now you're from New Hampshire, which to me I kind of equate that to pretty close to the Arctic Circle. Does everything just shut down in the wintertime?
No, everything comes alive in the wintertime.
Oh, no way.
The skiing, the snowmobiling, all the outdoor sports that you would do in the wintertime come alive. We have a great tourist season. We have great ski slopes here, great access to Vermont and Maine, and New England in general, in the wintertime, just like the summertime, is we end up with 2-3 times the population in some of our towns because of people wanting to ski, people wanting to snowmobile, people wanting to ice skate. In Laconia, New Hampshire, little known fact there, the World Sled Dog Championships occur in the February-March timeframe, and it is a qualifier for the Iditarod. And so that's been going on for decades.
Wow.
And so, yeah, you get all the great sled dog teams up here, and it's wonderful. We have Motorcycle Week in the summertime, which brings motorcycles similar to what you see in South Dakota all over the country, descending on Laconia, New Hampshire, which is just unbelievable sight to see all the motorcycles and people having fun. So that's what we do up here.
That's some pretty good factoids there. You dropped some major factoids right there. You beat me to mine. You know what? I'm just going to bring this up. Since you brought your factoid up, I got mine right here. I want to know why, if New Hampshire was the first state to grow the potato, I want to know, why did you guys give it up to Idaho?
That's a very good question, and I think it has to do with the decline of agriculture here in the state of New Hampshire. We do not perform to our full potential when it comes to agriculture. We have over 4,000 farms. We have as little as about 90 or so farmers markets. We have lost our investment in the family-owned farms here in the state of New Hampshire. And it's come to quite a detriment, I think, to big agriculture and so on and so forth. And we really need to get back to that, because New Hampshire, it just doesn't have milk. And, even the milk industry, I grew up on a dairy farm in Guilford, New Hampshire. And, I was part of going around delivering milk with my grandfather and my dad. And that was great, right? Bring the bottles to the house, take the bottles, bring them back the next week, and keep doing that until, the big dairy industry came in and, got rid of that.
Did you roll solo on that, or is like in your dad's car or something like that?
We had the Bolduc milk truck vans, and I was in the back, bouncing around with the milk bottles. And when we stopped, I would tumble out the back, grab the bottles, and hustle up to the house. One of the beautiful things about that, that whole process is it keeps you connected with the community, and you really know the needs and wants of the community. And I know a number of times where I would go up to deliver the milk, and there would be a note in the milk bottle saying, please, no milk this week.
Help me, I've been stuck at sea for days, please. Let me out.
I'd go back down to my back down to the truck with the milk. My grandfather would go, hey, what's going on? And I said, well, this is no. He'd go up, knock on the door, and they said, well, we can't pay for the milk this week. And my grandfather would say, hey, take the milk, come out to the farm and do a good day's work, and you paid for your milk, right?
Yeah, there you go. Nice. That's back in the day, though, huh?
That's back in the day. We don't see that now, and that's why our communities aren't as strong as they should be, and that's why agriculture in New Hampshire isn't what it should be, because we've stopped investing in our family farms, and we certainly could feed New Hampshire, we could feed New England, Canada, the whole 9 yards, but we choose to go big business. We choose to export everything, to include our manufacturing capabilities. And it's paying a price right now.
So you have a rather large family, like growing up, brothers?
Well, my dad had, he was one of 13. And so, my grandfather used that as labor on the farm. And then they had he had grandchildren, and then we just backfilled, right? And, dairy farm, produce farm. We got buffalo in 1985 and started in the buffalo meat business. Maple syruping, big on our farm. and the surrounding farms there in Guilford. And so you learn how to work hard, right? Never quit, work in all kinds of weather, and just get it done for your family and for your community. It was a wonderful way to grow up. It was a wonderful way to learn a work ethic. And oh, by the way, inside that work ethic, inside that family, was a requirement by my grandfather that all Bolduc males will serve the military, no questions asked. Join Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. He didn't care. Active duty, reserve, National Guard. He didn't care. Only thing he cared about was service and giving something back to your country. And he felt that was necessary because when he came down from Canada in 1899, he had to go to Chelmsford, Mass. To work on the railroad, right? And he did that, and he saved a lot of money, and then he was able to buy the farm in Guilford. And so we were the second owners of that farm. It was built in 1779, and it's been the Bolduc farm since my great-grandfather bought it, and they turned it into a very profitable family farm that took care of a lot of people during the Great Depression, and taught an entire family the importance of hard work and never quitting.
Definitely, that's awesome. So you and your brothers all served in the military. Did you all go Army?
We all went Army. We all went Special Forces. We all served in 5th Group together. Um, let's see, my brother AJ, he was 5th Group. He retired as a Master Sergeant. He was 5th Group his entire time. Also in the 2nd Battalion, 75th Rangers, and a Ranger instructor. My brother Dave, who's the youngest, just retired this past year as a colonel. He was a 5th grouper all the way as well. I did 10th group, 5th group, and 3rd group. And so I had the opportunity to serve in 3 different groups. And as you know, the culture, climate among groups is different, right?
Yes.
And you can expect it to be that because we focus on different parts of the world. But nonetheless, we share that quiet, professional, Deo Presso Liber spirit. And so we're all connected that way, even though we come from, different groups.
So, the one thing I'll say, getting back to your service now, I could tell you brought with you from 5th Group when we were out there in Afghanistan in 05 was the pull-up bar and the opsin. I think for sure that was screaming 5th Group.
Yes, it was. Yes. Yes.
So, what are some of your most interesting moments though while you served? I mean, that's a long career, 30 some odd years.
Yeah. I think as an enlisted guy, one of my first experiences, I was a sergeant, squad leader, getting ready to make some decisions after my first 3 years of service, and go to college, re-enlist. I had just been selected for drill sergeant school, and I get called down to my commander's office with my first sergeant to discuss re-enlisting. And at that time, I kind of made up my mind that I was going to get out, well, at least transition to ROTC. I was going to school in Massachusetts. They had a great, green to gold program there in the National Guard. I was thinking about law enforcement as a career, but still wanted to stay in the military. So, why not become, an officer and see how that works out and so on and so forth. So, hey, I get called down to my commander's office, and, he says, Sergeant Bolduc, he goes, I understand you're getting ready to re-enlist. I'd like you to re-enlist, would like you to, get off there to drill sergeant school. And I said, sure. Well, sir, I appreciate that. But, just to let you know what I'm thinking. And he goes, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that. You are, in my opinion, right, you're just not officer material, right? And he said, I can see you as a sergeant major, command sergeant major, but I just, this officer thing, you're rough around the edges, and, you just, So I'm standing there listening to it. My first sergeant's listening to it. And I was like, well, sir, I appreciate you telling me that, and so on and so forth. And I said, I'll take your counsel into consideration. And I was dismissed and got brought into my first sergeant's office. He put me in the front lean and rest. And he said, I want you to count push-ups. I want you to count them loudly. And so I'm down there doing it. And he gets down real close to my ear and he goes, I want you to go to ROTC, and then I want you to find Captain, and I won't say his name, but Captain, company commander. And then I want you to take those bars and put them where the sun doesn't shine. And I said, yes, First Sergeant. And I just kept doing my push-ups, right? And so it was one lesson among many. Don't let people tell you you can't do something, right? And be respectful, take their advice, maybe the best advice you ever get, you never know. But really, when someone's trying to discourage you from doing something, I don't know. That's when it's time to challenge, right? And so that was the very first time. And not to lose my humility or brag, he retired as a lieutenant colonel, and I happened to make it into the general officer rank. So much for, yes, I am rough around the edges. Yes, I'm direct. Yes, I'm not your polished, silver-tongued devil. But still, no reason you can't pursue a dream or goal or whatever, right? You just try and, give you your best. And sometimes the situation dictates for someone a little bit different, right? And I think 20 years of war has bore that out, right? That we need people that are going to speak straight. They're going to take care of their people. They're not going to let BS get in the way. And if you have a polished silver-tongued devil who's only thinking about, the politics of things, you're not going to have the best strategies and policies and operational approaches. That's just my experience, right? So, and I found as I went through the ranks as an officer, that more and more that rank is given to you to take care of others, right? Not take care of yourself, not to look for another promotion, not to look for the next command billet, and so on and so forth. And that's hard to do sometimes because the culture is a bit different. The culture is very cutthroat, backstabbing. Think about yourself, think about your upward mobility. If there's a decision to make between going with the people above you and cutting the people below you loose, cut the people below you loose. And I got to a point in time where that just wasn't acceptable. So I think that we have a real leadership cultural problem right now that has manifested itself very plainly and obvious for anybody to see. I think that really is demonstrated in how we did our withdrawal from Afghanistan, and the fact that we had general officers from the tactical level to the strategic level to the policy level who didn't stand up for our guys. And didn't do the right thing because of this idea of civilian control. You don't challenge civilian control when, as a military leader, particularly a senior military leader, first of all, the risk is too high. We're going to get people killed. First red light. Second red light is you're not giving me the resources I need to be able to do a withdrawal in a hostile environment, or a NEO in a hostile environment. So red flag number 2. And if you don't give me that, I can't do it. And I'm not saying that I'm disobeying orders. I'm just telling you, you're giving me an order that is impractical, not feasible, not acceptable, not suitable. And so therefore, we can't execute it. So until you decide to give me what I need, we're going to hold what we got, right? And really, that's not challenging civilian control. That's doing what you raised your right hand for. And to me, there are many, many examples of that over the last 20 years where senior military guys just abandon their responsibilities to the men and women in their command for the idea of getting that next star or getting that next command and moving up through the chain.
Yeah. And I would say, not being too political at this moment, but, and as being the lowly enlisted guy running up through the ranks, you see the pressure put on the officer corps. You've got such a limited time, and you have to do something great, at least put it in writing that you did something great, regardless if it was great or not. Because after that, it's on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And I think that pressure, even if something is already in place that's working awesome, is there, but yet the officer feels like they have to make a change because they have to prove that they did something to move up. And,
absolutely correct. And what does that do to you guys?
well, it makes us, bang our heads against the wall and pull our hair and say, look, we have a system. It's working great. Stop trying to make a change. But I will say also, and you get the rare occasion. I appreciated your leadership as a battalion commander over there because you let us do our job. Nothing better than saying, hey, guys, go do great things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did, I believe. But
go do great things. You guys did great things. You did unprecedented things.
That was a lot
things that should have paved the way for what was the right thing to do in the future, but did not because of what you very articulately expressed. And it's very unfortunate because today in 2021, there could have been a different outcome, I believe. And, our guys know how to get it done. So just let them do it and provide them the resources that they need, the top cover that they need, and don't let anybody mess with them. And if you do that, I guarantee you great things will happen.
Yeah.
And because I got to be honest with you, I was never let down by my guys. I was always disappointed by the people above me, right? And that's not because I had all the answers. That's not because I was the smartest guy or the greatest leader. Hey, listen, I made every leadership mistake in the book going up, and I take counsel of those. And I made mistakes. And so you learn from them and you move forward. You're just a person, right? But if you don't do that, you bury them, you push them aside, you try to take those mistakes and blame them on the guys below you. That's when we really get on a bad road and we really get ourselves into trouble. And that's why the investigations that have gone on over the last 20 years in Iraq and Afghanistan have mostly always gone sideways because it's the circling of the wagons at the top at the expense of the guys on the bottom. And there's no better example of that than the Niger ambush that happened on October 3rd, 2017. And Michelle Black wrote a great book on it called Sacrifice that I recommend to everybody. And the investigation, 3212 redacted. Now, these guys served with me in Afghanistan. They served with me in a rotation when I was the Special Operations Commander in Africa before I changed command and then retired. And I know these guys, right? I didn't know the detachment commander because he was new, but I knew the NCOs and I knew these guys. And they were far from how they were characterized by AFRICOM and SOCOM in the press. And we owe our guys better than we are delivered. We're not, as leaders, and I put myself in that category as well, not living up to the awesome responsibility that we have to take care of the best men and women our country has to offer us. And that is unacceptable.
Yeah. I was in Niger, not too far away from that point, because I left there in 2016, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
2015, 2016. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing, like where I was, we were like right there at the corner between, what do we have? Chad to the north?
Yep. Yeah.
Niger, and then Burkina Faso.
Yep.
Nothing. It was so boring. Nothing was going on. But we also had a lesson learned, like don't get kidnapped on a Friday, because in that particular area where they got hit was already known bad spot because we had a guy get kidnapped. He was an American citizen who was a like a missionary.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know if he's hanging out at their Hilton or if he got
Well, their version of the Hilton, I don't know. It's not. It's not very pretty, right? And it's
no
very unfortunate.
no mints on the pillow for him. But
No.
yeah, no, it was. He had his warnings. You know, he probably should have heeded those warnings. But anyway, I digress. It was an interesting time, and I understand how and why and who was the parties rolling around out there. Uh, but yeah, it was a bad area. They should have really gotten more support, and that's hard to do out there. Get that support. It was a fight for
It's
us.
very hard to do. It was my number one concern. My number one concern was, you know, the resources that we didn't have to do the missions that they're asking us to do, that we didn't have the latitude to say, we can't do this mission, right? At one point during my command, I had 96 missions with 846 associated tasks in 28 different African countries, right? And that is hugely important. So, I mean, that's a lot of tasks, right? And that is something that we had to balance every single day. And the chain of command at the top, my rule was if the detachment commander on the bottom, if the SEAL platoon leader, if the SF detachment commander, if the Marine Special Operations commander on the ground said no, it was no. It was not second guessing them. It was not directing them to do it. It was not trying to finagle something. If they said no and their assessment was no, it was no.
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest mistakes that was made in Niger was, for whatever reason, that rule went away. And they were directed from the top down to do something that the detachment commander had said twice not to do. And it had catastrophic results.
Yeah.
And so, hey, in retirement, I got involved because people asked me to get involved. And, you know, I explained how we did it. And I tell you, on my way out, the 4-star general in AFRICOM said, you know, Don, what's the most, you know, what was your biggest concern? And I said, sir, my biggest concern is that our ops centers will not be dialed in at the point in time where we need them dialed in to ensure that a decision isn't forced on a detachment on the ground to do something it doesn't have the resources to do. You know, we had to shuffle resources around. We had medical stuff, you know, the force protection stuff, the ISR, and some days it had to go to the east, and we had to delay things in the west. Sometimes it had to go to the north, and we had to delay things in the east, right? And so you had to balance that because they were only going to give you so much, and you did this on an operational cycle that was informed from the bottom up, not the top down.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's how it has to be.
Now, I would like to know once you got your general, yeah, you went from full bird to general. What was that like, that transition? I mean, was there like a slew of staff when everything was goose down pillows? And, you know, I just want to know, like, what did you go from, like, you know, just the ribeye to caviar? Was it like instantaneous, or did you have to work your way up to that?
No, it's pretty instantaneous, and it's very wasteful in my view. When I mean I didn't have, so when I became a general, the first job I did was SIFSOC A commander in Afghanistan for a year, 2012 to 2013, and I was also deputy commander of the SJOTF, right, the 2-star command that was created.
Okay.
My portfolio was the soft guys on the ground doing the village stability operations. And then the other deputy commander had the direct action piece, right? And then General Thomas was the 2-star commander. So, that's how we, skin the cat. And, I didn't have a big staff. I didn't want a big staff. As a colonel, I did the same thing. As a lieutenant colonel, I did the same thing, right? Your staff shouldn't operate at the expense of the guys doing the job on the ground. So you have to be very cognizant of that. I believe in a very strong principle of small units, small teams solve large problems. Large teams solve small problems. And that's what you see happen. And so I resisted as much as I could all the lickies and chewies of becoming a general officer, all the staff and all this other stuff, because people are going to try and force that on you, and they're going to try and insulate you. One of the biggest things that I think a general can make a mistake is develop a special staff outside of their staff, right? So they usually call it the Commander's Action Group, the CAG, and they select these guys or bring their guys in from the outside, and they put them on this staff, and they say, okay, you're really going to be my eyes and ears. Well, all that does is insulate you from everything. And then they become the empowered folks that you can't talk to your 3 and you can't talk to your 2, and you're not getting the straight skinny from them and this, that, and the other thing. And then they dictate who you see and what you do. Huge mistake. That's a terrible organizational construct and structure. It doesn't work. It gets in the way. So I got rid of all that stuff too. And so, and then the third thing is what general officer staffs do is they get in the way. And so when anyone wants to create something to fix something, they usually look for a general officer to create a general officer staff, right? And the amount of general officer positions in Iraq and Afghanistan that were created were unbelievable. Right?
Yes, it's funny. I was just going to hit that subject because in 2014, you had a general officer get killed. And first you stop and you're like, okay, what did this affect? And then you realize, well, it didn't affect anything. At that point, you're looking like, okay, do we have, it's supposed to be the triangle,
Right.
And the leadership's at the triangle, but it seems like we grow more and more like this.
Exactly. We've inverted it pretty much. And so my big rule was we work for them. They don't work for us. This isn't the chain of command. This is about getting business done. So the higher headquarters has got to stop being in the business of RFIing people to death and creating tasks and imposing those things. And the guys at the bottom, they're the ones that create that. And we're the ones that work for them to resource what they need done and empower them to make the decision. So decreasing the size of your staff. If you're in a joint command, the people around you need to be joint, right? Because you got to get the flavor of everybody. It's why I picked a master chief in Africa and Special Operations Command Africa to be my senior enlisted advisor. 1, he was wicked smart. 2, he was very well respected. 3, he was different than me. And I need him different than me. I don't need a replica of Don Bolduc as my senior enlisted advisor, my XO, and my deputy commander. Because then we're just going to be a self-licking ice cream cone. You have to be able to tell. You have to have people that are going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And that's the other big mistake that happens at the highest levels. You're always told you're powerful and handsome every single day. And everybody, they create this and they insulate you. You never know whether or not you have clothes on or not. And it's just very, very difficult to get the ground truth. And that doesn't mean you circumvent everybody and go down and talk to the detachment commander like he's your buddy. But it does mean that you're in the business of supporting those guys in a way that allows them to be in charge of what the hell they're going to do on a day-to-day basis at the tempo that they're going to do it with the end state that they define, not that you define. They know what my intent is. right? They know what their mission is. Gosh, just let them do it. And they will do it, and they will get it done, and you will be, that's how you become a hero. That's how you get promoted, right? But that's not, as you pointed out earlier, the way it's done, and we got to change that. It's the George Catlett Marshall way, right? What did he do when he took, as a 1-star on, 1 September when he became Chief of Staff of the Army and in charge of the War Department and in charge of the war for the President of the United States, as a 1-star, by the way, not as a 4-star, right? As a 1-star. He did a review of all his general officers, and he said, which ones need to go? Which ones should stay? Which one are good trainers? Which one are good war fighters? Okay? And you guys were going to keep. He basically got rid of most of them and brought lieutenant colonels like Bradley and Eisenhower up to the higher ranks, to the general officer ranks, and went from there. That purge was necessary. I think another purge is necessary now. And we got to get back to the idea of service to nation, service to American people, service to to the people that we serve, and not about this the way we got it now, where it's organizational nepotism, go along to move along, and no other general officer ever says no to another general officer, even if it's crazy, right? We owe our people that.
What was it like retiring?
It was like I felt like I was fired and not retired.
Oh.
So $50 is a big deal.
And I felt that's how I felt. I mean, I wasn't asked to retire because I wasn't performing well. I was asked to retire because I wasn't part of the club. I wasn't part of the clique. I didn't fit into they couldn't trust me, right? They couldn't trust me to go along with them and not go along with the guys. And so, and I got this from people in the General Officer Management Office in the Pentagon who listened to the discussions, right? We can't trust him to cover our backs up here because he will default to his guys down below, which I believe is a mark of distinction. And I will carry that with me everywhere I go. I was proud to have, heard that. And I'm probably one of the few general officers who removed himself from the General Officer Management Office emails, right? Because you're part of this system where they send you emails and updates on everything going on in the military and what's going on at general officer level and who's getting selected for this and all this other stuff. And I said, I don't want to be part of your little clique, your little system in retirement. I wasn't good enough to be a part of it on active duty. I don't want to be a part of it in retirement. And I am going to default to, getting emails and texts and staying in contact with people that I was close to in the military to get my ground truth, because they gave it to me when I was in and they give it to me now. And that's how I choose to stay connected. And that's why I had no inhibitions about going on Fox News and others during the Afghan withdrawal and demanding the resignation of the Secretary of Defense and the Chief of Staff, the Joint Chief of Staff, Chairman Milley, and all these others that did the wrong thing, right?
Yeah. Yep.
They did the wrong thing.
Oh, I agree. I think so, definitely. So real quick.
So I guess I proved your point, right?
Yes, you did. So I want to talk about, before we go into the final leg here of this, Sierra Oscar Foxtrot podcast does support Veteran Harbor, Inc. It is a nonprofit designed to help not just veterans in need, but also other nonprofits. Currently, we have a couple projects going on. We've got project, the Robert Lee Project, which you can see, the micro mentory. That's me coining that phrase, micro mentory, out there on the website. Check it out. We're helping one vet in need to help several other vets in need, in conjunction with the Veteran Treatment Corps of Harnett County. We are coming together to have the first Veteran Harbor House, to which we will provide that kind of support and stabilization for veterans trying to get on their feet. Like I said, check it out at www.veteranharbor.com. Sir, you got any nonprofits, any charities you want to throw out there?
Sure. I do a lot of work with the Veterans Count here in New Hampshire. It's very well run. It's in collaboration with Easter Seals. They do a fantastic job at supporting our veterans on the same kind of model that you just described. Veterans helping veterans, and also the care provider model, where a veteran and family in need gets a real person that helps them through whatever situation they need help to get through. And we find that to be the best. And I agree with that concept as well. And we have another one that I'm very involved in is the Mind Your Brain out of the University of Pennsylvania Medical Center side of things, that have a unique and great relationship with the VA that's right next to them. They actually have built a walkway from the VA over to UPenn Medical, and they work together to support our veterans, which is huge. It's great, and that's basically about understanding, brain injuries, traumatic brain injuries mostly, which I'm very fond of also, because I've suffered from two myself. And the big myth out there is, oh my goodness, you got a mental injury, post-traumatic stress, TBI, and you can't function, right? Well, that couldn't be further from the truth, right? You're still highly functional. You just need the therapy and the treatment to be able to work your way through it and get better, and it's all possible. So those two organizations, and then Guardian Angels Medical Service Dogs, I think is a huge medical service dog organization out of Williston, Florida, that does tremendous work. It's very well known. It's very well recognized, multiple awards. I have Victor, my service dog, which I've had now for a little over 3.5 years, from Guardian Angel Medical Service Dog. I volunteer to sit on their board, and I'm very very honored to do so, because we raise a lot of money to get these dogs trained and paired to veterans, which saves lives. And the very fact that I have a medical service dog, and that I travel around, and that I destigmatize that very, hey, when people see you with a dog, they say, what do you got the dog for, right? What do you got the dog for, And I say, I tell them, oh, I got it for medical reasons. And then they continue to ask questions. And then most people are good with it, but there are a number of people that just still don't understand. So it's a visible sign that something's wrong. And so therefore people don't want to get it. And therefore they go without the treatment that they should be getting, right? And they end up committing suicide. So that's what we want to prevent, right?
Yes, definitely.
So anyways.
So now that you're out and you've ran for Senate, you ran last year, I believe.
I did. I ran last year. I lost the primary, very, very close primary. I ran against the establishment, and that's kind of a big thing to try and get over, particularly in 2020 with all the other obstacles. But we came very, very close. And so we got our foot in the door, and I was the only candidate able to survive another run in 2022, mainly because of the grassroots approach that we had, the bottom-up approach, and the fact that I ran a very, honest campaign. I ran a very straightforward campaign, and I kept my character integrity. I didn't sell myself to the establishment, which is now in 2022 one of the biggest concerns of voters here in New Hampshire, and I think across the country, is career politicians that are ruining our country, and a political system that's so divisive that these career politicians can't come together and do the right thing for our economy, our fiscal responsibility, and the safety and security of Americans. And they want political outsiders. And I fit that bill very well this election cycle. So right now I'm tied with the incumbent. 6 months ago, I was at 30 points. She was at 51. We're now tied at 45, 46, with a margin of error of 3.5. So I've come a long way. She's come down. And so it's, we're continuing to gain momentum. And it's a basic message of God, family, community, country. I believe in the America First agenda. How can you not? Strong economy, fiscal responsibility, safety and security of Americans inside America, outside America, a much stronger foreign policy, a much stronger homeland security policy, protecting critical infrastructure, everything that goes along with that I have tremendous amount of national security experience for, which is sorely needed in the United States Senate. We don't have it now. We don't have it on the Intel Committee. We don't have it on the Senate Armed Services Committee. We don't have it on the Foreign Relations Committee or any of the other committees like small businesses. Small businesses are, key to America's success. Communities are key to America's success. But we have career politicians that are tied to special interests, lobbyists, serving themselves, not the people. And people are tired of it. And I represent a huge change. And so that momentum we see moving forward with a very, very simple message. We got to bring God back into the public square. We got to reinforce our family values. We have to strengthen our communities. We got to get the government out of the way and let people innovate, let people grow their businesses, let them be successful, and get the government out of the way. Just like in the military, get the headquarters out of the way, and the people and the men and women on the ground will get the job done.
Definitely. I tell you what, if I was there, I would vote for you, but it's way too cold. I don't have nearly enough jackets. I'm not going up there. Sorry. But for all of you guys out there that live in New Hampshire, this is the guy. Let's vote for him for Senate. We need some change up in there. Well, sir, I know you've got a busy schedule, of course.
I do. And the only reason I'm wearing this getup right now is I got to scoot out of here and head to a Wreath Across America celebration where I was asked to wear my uniform and be the guest speaker as we lay wreaths on and recognize our fallen across America now. New Hampshire's involved in that, obviously, and I'm honored to participate.
Yeah, and I just realized, well, I didn't just realize, but I've seen it now a little bit. Looks like we're reverted back to almost the World War II style uniform.
Oh, it's a beautiful uniform. I love it. And people, civilians really, really, resonate with the uniform. They love it. So
does this mean, like, if I have to wear a uniform, I have to, like, ditch the ones I just spent a lot of money on and get one of these?
They are expensive. I went on my own payment plan, so it's all good. But it is a beautiful traditional uniform. You feel like a soldier in it, right? And so
I agree.
That in and of itself.
It's
right?
got a connection, back to our roots.
It does. It's got a connection. And so, anyways,
might get it. I might.
Honored to stay involved. Honored to to represent the military out there at the various events that we have done here in New Hampshire and in New England. And like you say, it does get cold up here, but the old saying, no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothes, right?
I guess so. You
got a layer.
Yes, cold, the acronym. Well, thank you again, sir. I do appreciate you participating, and it was great talking to you and seeing you again. It's been a while, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. I'll look forward to coming back. Thank you for what you're doing here, and it's hugely important. It was an honor to serve with you. You are a great soldier in your own right, and I'm honored to participate in your podcast. Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas, and Merry Christmas to all your listeners.
Yes, and Happy New Year, because we're in the new year now.
New Year.
Right. 2022, big year. All right.
God bless you, my friend.
And this is Sierra Oscar Foxtrot Podcast. Brian Stanfill signing out.